So something that's really cool about the Flux Prompt tool is to be able to use it in what I like to call sandbox mode. So in sandbox mode, I can take a normal text box out of any of these nodes and basically use this as my notes. So in my notes here, I want that to give the content and context to influence my prompt and my other node. So I'm going to go ahead and create an output of text here. And as I'm doing so, it's going to take my prompt, but all the context of what I gave to it before. Now, what's really cool about the nodes here is I can also change my prompt input. So if I want to use OpenAI's ChatGPT or Anthropic's Claude or Gemini from Google, like I can. I can even use different models within that version um, and get whatever output it is that I'm looking for. Now, in a sandbox environment, I can kind of tie things together. So here's my context. Again, for my output, here's my context. Then I can go ahead and run an image and say, okay, is this kind of something that I'm looking for, yes or no? What's interesting about the sandbox is I can sit there and load it up with all sorts of nodes and have different piles for different projects that I'm thinking. Maybe I have a pile for images. Maybe I have a pile for text. That's how mine works. That's how my mind works. So after this, now I want to show you guys the real cool superpower of FluxPrompt. This is what we like to show in some of our brainstorming calls. And this came from an event that we just recently did where someone said, hey, a current bottleneck that I'm facing right now is creating a SWOT analysis for a presentation I have tomorrow. So we said, great. Let's go ahead and build just a really quick AI workflow that would address that. And we're going to do it so simply, but hopefully this ignites the creativity and imagination of what else you could use to build with this. So our global node here will actually set off a chain of events where we will daisy chain these nodes or mini GPTs together and all the different functionalities, even doing all sorts of different AI models and tools all at once. So if I want to go ahead and search and scrape for my SWOT analysis at McDonald's fast food chain, and I say, great, hey, Llama, because Llama's really powerful right now, go ahead and create a SWOT analysis for me. And it did. It's awesome. Now I said, great, that SWOT analysis is cool. I want you to basically go ahead and simplify it to just 2 easy points that I can use for my presentation. Great. Thanks, Claude. Claude did that for me. And I say, okay, great, ChatGPT 4.0. I also need a blurb that I can kind of semi-rehearse for my presentation just so I don't just go up there and start mumbling, kind of like I'm doing in this video. So it's going to say, great, here it is. Here's your blurb. And I say, awesome. Now I want to record my voice for 30 seconds so I can hear how I sound giving that presentation, just kind of listen for any tweaks that I want to make. Or if I don't want to hear my own voice, I can choose one of the many other voices that's available to me. So I'm creating some audio here using 11 Labs. From 11 Labs, I'm like, hey, you know what? It's a presentation. I obviously need some images. So it's going to create a SWOT analysis image from here from DALL-E, another one for Stable Diffusion, things I can go ahead and stick in there. I'm like, you know what? I didn't love that image. So I'm going to go ahead and within this AI workflow, just hit run prompt here, just real quick so I get a different one. And I'm like, oh yeah, that one's a little bit better. Now, what's cool about all these AI workflows is I can tie them at the end, all those outputs into an API. So I can pull from an API, I can push to an API. So this output is basically set up to email me all those assets that I created. My summary of the SWOT analysis, the images, the audio narration, everything is going to be emailed to me. Or I can email it to everyone in my meeting 30 minutes after the meeting's over so they all get a rundown and summary of how that meeting went. There's other APIs you can push to, right? So if you want to push to Google Suite, if you want to push to Sheets, and you want to push to Docs, if you want to push to your ClickUp, we're working on pushing to HubSpot, things like that, where now I'm putting it where I have my tools and resources every single day. So in the time it took me just to sit here and blab about it, it already pushed an email to me, creating all of this in a workflow where I went through an API connection. I connected to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different AI models and functionalities to create this AI workflow by chaining them together. I don't know where else you can do this, not just at the same time all at once, instead of just toggling one at a time, but to daisy chain them together so you can get the biggest, most powerful output of all of them that they have to offer all at once. So that is like what we like to run through with people to say, hey, if you had this kind of functionality and you could do these kind of things, what bottlenecks would you open up? What manual processes would you look to alleviate with something as powerful as this? And then we start brainstorming, and then we create something together. So this is the FluxPrompt platform. Hopefully you guys have checked it out and you think there's some promise, and if there is, like, let's talk.